So once you get your book, then you go to againsttheclock.com. And I've already created a username and password, so you'll just need to create a new account here. So I'm going to log into my account and then go to my account and files and enter student resource files codes. And sometimes it takes a while to process. So what I've done is I've got a lot of different ones plugged in, but you want to look for Adobe InDesign 2020 and then type in that code right here. So make sure you type in it exactly as it appears in the book. Once you've done that, save, and then you should go back to, you can go back to my account and files or go up to my student resource files. Oh, I'm already there. It's waiting for it to load. And then you should have it listed here, Adobe InDesign 2020. So I've got several things here, but you would just look for InDesign 2020 student resource files, and you can just click on the resource files. And it gives you a zipped format too, just a compressed folder with all the files in it. So either one, you can download those. You will also need to download the fonts that we're going to use for our exercises. So you want to select 4cc titles, get ATC open type font. So that's for the Creative Cloud titles. So you want to click on that to download the fonts and then click on the student resource files to download that. Once you've done that, and I've got them downloaded here, then you'll have a folder called ATC 2020 InDesign files. If it's a zipped file, you just double click on it to unzip it. On a Mac, that's how I do it on the Mac. So I'm not sure on a PC, however you unzip or decompress your files there. The first set of files that you'll need is the interface ID for the InDesign interface. And that's not anything that you have to turn in. That's just for you to go through on your own. So if you've got the book already, you can go to that first chapter, the InDesign interface, and I'm going to quickly go over that today live just as an overview, but you can use your textbook and go through it step by step on your own later or during the lab today. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and then I'm going to talk about typography, and that's the fun part. It's fun for me, and hopefully fun for you too. So let me go ahead and just open up InDesign so that you can just get a little more familiar with InDesign. So on a Mac, if you go to your applications window, if you've already installed InDesign, then you should be able to open up InDesign here under applications. You can also go to your Adobe Creative Cloud icon at the top of the Apple menu. That's the level where the Apple symbol is, and click on the Adobe Creative Cloud. And you would do this to install it also. So then you would look for InDesign, look for the current version of InDesign, and you can click on Open to open it that way. I've already got mine open, so I have it down here on my dashboard, and I can just click on that to open it. So there's different ways that you can open InDesign. Then you can either create a new file or open an existing file. So I'm going to click on Open because I want to open one of the files that I just downloaded from Against the Clock. So I'm going to just select the first file here, and you can double click on it or click Open to open that file. So now I've opened up my first file here in InDesign, and we can look at the workspace. I have a custom workspace here that I've named, but when you open it, it probably is set to Essentials, the Essential workspace. You can change things around in the workspace. So if you click on that double arrow, it collapses these panels. You can make them wider or you can make them narrower. You can drag things out. So I'm going to drag the properties out. So this is kind of like the parking garage. So I can drive the properties out and float it. So I can move it to the other side if I want to, but I can always park it back in as well. I can also move it to the top if I want to. So you can just play around with that and you can customize it. You can use your windows at the top of the Apple menu here and open up another panel. So let's say I want to open up my effects panel. I can click on effects, and then I can now park that into my panel and add that to the essentials panel. And then if I decide I want to go back to the default, I can always go to reset essentials and it'll reset it to the default. So doing that, you can customize your own workspace. So I can also click on and select new workspace and give it a title. And that's what I did here for my workspace, which I called Kay's workspace. And I usually, because I already know what all these icons represent, to give me more space to work, I like to collapse them so I just see the icon. And that gives me a lot more room here to place graphics and other elements. But for this class, I will keep it expanded so you can see the text that corresponds to that. I recommend that you work in typography workspace. So you can just go ahead and select typography because that will give you most of the panels that you need for doing our typographic assignment. And I'm just going to make this a single column. If you look on the left side, that's the toolbar, and those are the tools that you'll need to access things in your document. So the one that is selected here is the selection tool. So that black arrow, I can use that to select this item here. I can move this. I can undo that by doing Command Z or Edit Undo. I can also redo a move. Okay, redo and undo. I can also move this picture around and drag it off. If I use this direct selection tool, the white tool, I can select specific items. And I don't have any specific items right now, but I'll show you later on how you can use that. Right now, just make sure you're familiar with the selection tool and the type tool. So the type tool, I can go into a text frame and I can change the text. This is actually not a text frame. This is an image file, so I can't, you can tell because of that double circle in the center, so I can't actually change this text because it's a raster image file and not a text file. Well, I'll talk more about what that means later too. Some other things, the top part is the control panel, and so you can select most of the tools uh, and a lot of the panel items in your control panel on the top. So whatever you have selected, so if I select this frame right here, it's contextual, so it'll show you what you have access to when you have this item selected. So I could change the width and the height, I could change the X and Y coordinate, I could add a border to it, I can there's a lot of settings that I could mess with if I wanted to using the control panel. Another thing we're going to look at is the InDesign preferences. So if you go back up to the Apple menu and go to InDesign, go to preferences and then go to interface, and you can change to your preferred settings. So if you want to change the color theme, I have my color theme set to medium light gray, but if you prefer black, you could change it to black or to white. And if there's a color that's going to read better for you all, feel free to tell me. Otherwise, I just have it set to gray. And then I've also just use the default here to make sure all these things are checked. One thing that I don't have checked is the auto collapse panel. And so I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to get out of here. And if I click on the pages panel and then I click somewhere else on the page, that panel stays open. It doesn't automatically collapse. And that's my preference. I like for it to stay open. I can just click on it if I want to close it. Now, if you do want it to automatically collapse, what you can go to back to the preferences and interface and then check auto collapse icon panels, then click OK. Now, when I click on pages and I click somewhere else, it automatically collapses. So that's just a personal preference, but that's where you can go to change that if you want to. There's a lot of other preferences you can make here, but for now, I'm not going to mess with that, but just so you know where it is. Other things that are going to be important are the way that you view your file that you have open here. So if you go to the toolbar, right now you can see the grid and the guidelines. You can see where the edges of page are. You can see the bleed margin. We'll talk more about what bleed margin is later on. And you can see that framework. Well, you may not want to see that framework. You may want to see what this file looks like without all those frames. So a shortcut that I use a lot is just to click the command W, and that will hide all the framework. You can also click on the preview or here. If you hold down, it'll show you the nested tools. So I can go back to normal. The normal view shows the framework, and then you can also do preview, which hides that, or you can use the shortcut W. So if you hover next to the icon, it'll also give you the shortcut command. I can also see the bleed view, and I can also go to presentation view where you can just see it on a black background. And to get out of presentation view, just click on escape and to go back to the normal view. Couple other things, I keep saying that, but some other things I wanted to show you are shortcuts that I use a lot too. So Command 1 shows you the actual size of the document. So if I hit Command 1 on my Mac, that's the actual size. And if you look down here, it'll show you this is 100%. You can also select the percentage manually. So I can view it at 50%, or I can view it at 200%. And then I can do Command 0 to fit it back in one page, to fit it in view. I can also zoom in and out, so you can see this magnifying glass tool. If I click on that and I click on the page, I can zoom in, so you can see that plus inside of the magnifying glass. If you hold down the Option key on the Mac keyboard, then you can zoom out. I can also go back to Command 0 to fit it in view. I can also click and drag, so if I just want to zoom in onto this corner, I can click and drag and zoom in on that area, and then hold down the Option key to zoom back out, or go to Command 0 again. I can also go back, because remember from that folder we downloaded from Against the Clock, there were several different files, not just one. So you can go to File, Open, and open those other files too. So I'm going to select and hold down the Shift key to select all 4 of these files, and then hit Return to open them. And that will open up all of those files. And I can view those files in different ways. So I can go to Window, and then I can go to Arrange, and I can view them all. I can view them all vertically. And this is helpful when you're comparing files, especially if you want to compare 2 different versions. You can view them at the same time. And then if you change your mind, I can just drag this one into this other window and make it 2 windows. Oops, I actually floated that one. So I'm going to drag it back in here. And now I've got 2 windows. So you can change that under Window, Arrange, change the way that you view the files. If you go to, and I'm in typography workspace, remember, some other things that we're going to use a lot, we'll use properties a lot, we'll use swatches a lot. That's where you can create colors and change colors. We'll also use character. That's where you can change the typeface, the type size, and paragraph, where you can select different paragraph settings for an entire paragraph. And then it's also, if you don't see the links panel, again, you can just go to Window to find any of these panels, but you can select links. I'm going to use the links panel a lot too, and that shows you everything that you have linked in your file. So all of my images here, and it gives me information about all these files that are linked. So I can see the color space, the format, the resolution, for everything that I have linked, all the graphics that I have linked here. So those are some of the panels we'll be using a lot. If when you get your textbook, if you don't have it already, you can go to that first chapter and you can explore these panels and do it step by step. You can create a saved workspace. Go to page 10 to follow the directions on how to do that. Page 11 shows you the different document views. Page 18 shows you how to arrange multiple documents. All right, I'm going to close these by clicking on the X without saving them. I don't want to save any changes right now.